All right, y'all. We are finally here. Final game of season one. Playoffs been moving pretty quickly, in my opinion. And before we get into our prediction for the final game of the season, it's only right that we do a recap of what happened that led up to this point. So in the first round, we had the Ravens at home against the Dolphins, and the Dolphins seemed like they was in over their head. Um, this game was over early. Dolphins looked like they never stood a chance. Some players almost probably seemed like they was just happy to be here. Then you had the Bucks and the Panthers, and that game was pretty. That game, looking at the score, seemed like it was pretty tight. Panthers. You know, I'm impressed though with the Panthers. Like, he you got to remember that's the Panthers. And he shows up with them, but they couldn't pull it out. Bucks have been one of the most dominating team in the league, so there you go. Then you go back to the AFC. We had Jets and Bills. I took Buffalo to win this game. I felt like it would be close, but and it was pretty close for the most part. Buffalo pulled away in the end. They went on to the next round. Then we had Seattle and the Bears. I would have took Seattle to win this game. I would have predicted the score to be a little closer, but again, Seattle caught fire, never turned back. Seattle won this one, moved on to the divisional round. Then we had Steelers and Texans. This was a good game. We just had too many crazy turnovers. We had two. We threw two interceptions in the red zone. That's something that you can't do. You can't have two picks in the red zone and expect to win. But even with all of that, we still only lost by a touchdown with all of that. So when you see all those things happen, you see them lost by a score, you felt like, yo, that's a game we should have won. But spilled milk. Steelers went on to the next round to face the Raiders. But the final game in the first round was Packers and Cowboys. I would have took the Packers to win this over the Cowboys. Packers been a solid team all season. Cowboys, they've been up and down. Up and down as far as 1 minute they're yelling at the defense, and 1 minute they not yelling at the defense. So it was too many issues going on in that Cowboys locker room. And Packers took care of business. Then we had the next round. We had the Raiders win against the Steelers. Raiders won this one 55-35. This game was a blowout. Surprisingly, I would have took the Raiders, but again, I would have took this to be closer than what the final score was. So with this one, the Raiders went on to move to the AFC chip. Then you had Eagles and Packers. Packers won this one 38-35. I would have took the Packers to win this game personally in an upset. I took the Packers to win this game. I've always talked about the Eagles defense throughout the season, and I just felt like at some point in time it was going to come back to bite them, and it did at the worst moment. But it still was a close, good game. Nevertheless, I just would have took the Packers to win that one. Bucks and Seahawks. I would have took the Bucks to win this one over the Seahawks. It was close. I would have predicted it to be close. That it was. I mean, if you Seattle, you got nothing to hang your head down about. I mean, they showed up and balled out. They played great ball. They got off to a slow start, but once they got hot, I mean, they never looked back. They went all the way to the divisional round of the playoffs and took this 2 seed all the way to the final couple of minutes of the game. So Seattle will be back strong next year. Then you had Ravens and Bills. Ravens won this one 53-49. I got to give Buffalo their credit, man. Buffalo is a good team. Calm plays. He plays really, really well with them boys, and they gave Baltimore all they can handle. and they just came up a little short, you know. But Buffalo too is a team that will be back next year. I don't see them falling off, you know. But the tricky thing about Buffalo is that they don't really have no money, so they're gonna have to hit some home runs in the draft, you know, because they don't really have no money like that, as far as like free agency and stuff like that. But you know, when you got Josh Allen, you know, you're gonna make average guys look better. So I look for Buffalo to have a bounce back, not a bounce back year, but remain to be good next season also. In the AFC chip, well, I'll go to NFC first. In the NFC, you had Bucks and Packers. I would have took I would have took Tampa to win this one over Green Bay, but um, only because honestly Tampa was home. If Green Bay was the home team, I would have took Green Bay, you know, but it was in Tampa. Murph's been rolling with these guys all season long, and I'm also impressed with what he's doing with the Bucks. You know, you got to remember this is Tampa Bay season one. You know, yeah, some people gonna have to depend on that draft. They're gonna have to hit some home runs in that draft because money tied up with them quarterbacks with them big contracts. But I gotta give Bucks they respect, man. They balling out. You know, this is Baker Mayfield and whatever he got. Like it wasn't no big time trades that went on, and he been rolling all year. You know, he been rolling all year, and Bucks ain't going nowhere. So NFC gonna have to continue to improve because trust you me, Bucks will improve on top of the team that they already have. And Green Bay, I always said I like the Green Bay team. They just came up short. They went to the NFC chip, you know, nothing to hold their head down about neither. I think Green Bay gonna be back strong next year. They got young guys. They guys cheap. I'm sure they got a few dollars to spend because I don't think nobody got no big contracts over there. So I think Green Bay gonna add a couple pieces and be dangerous next year as well. Um, in the AFC chip that was just played a few hours ago, you had the Ravens and Raiders. This game was back and forth. Pardon me, y'all. I didn't watch the whole game, but you know, a little bit of pieces, minutes that because I was watching the basketball game. I was watching the Knicks, and so a little bit of stuff that I kept seeing, it looked like it was back and forth for the most part. You know, Ravens just made a few bigger plays. You know, a few bigger plays, and that was the outcome. But man, Raiders. Listen, it's the Raiders, right? They don't have no team like that, and they gave everybody fits, you know, including Baltimore. I mean, Baltimore had to really hit another level to pull us out. You know, Lamar was Lamarvelous. You know, he did what he had to do. But Raiders too is a team that ain't going nowhere. They will only get better. You know, so this is only season one. We got season two on the way. But Baltimore, they pulled it out. They deserved it. They got it done. They on to the Super Bowl to play the Bucks. And this is one heck of a Super Bowl right here, might I say. You know, both teams is playing great ball right now. Both teams is hot. I couldn't tell you when was the last time either of these two teams lost. You know, both of them been winning. Couple, if not two, definitely one of the Bucks losses was a fair sim or something like that. So Bucks ain't lose as far as head to head in a while, you know. And the Ravens, last time he lost was to the Steelers. That was quite a while ago. He got redemption against the Steelers in the last week of the season, or the final week or the week before the final week of the season. So both of these teams is hot. Both of these teams been on a roll. I expect this to be a good Super Bowl. And this is a difficult one to pick, you know, but I'm gonna go with this one. I'm gonna go with this one based off of based off of as far as what I think as far as what I think when it comes to these two as a head to head, I think Murph been having the one up against Bat, lately. And obviously we ain't talking about this man. We going back to last man. I think Buck's been having the one up. Well, Murph been having the one up against Bat. But then again, that was a whole different team. That was the Chiefs team that Murph had last Madden. This Bucks team is good, but does the Bucks have the personnel to keep up with the Ravens is the big question. Do they have the personnel to contain Lamar? That I don't know in season one, although I'm pretty sure a lot of guys is better now than what they were in week one. But I got to give the edge to the Ravens just off of personnel. So for that, I'm going to pick Baltimore to win this, and a tight one, though. This game can go either way, in my opinion. But I just think the Ravens might have just a little more ammo than the Bucks. But trust me, if the Bucks win this one, it won't be no surprise at all. But I'm going to give the slight nod to the Ravens, and I'm going to take Ravens in this one. I'm going to say 30. I'm going to say 38-34. 38-34. Ravens over the Bucks. I got Ravens winning season one of the bowl. Only thing that's left to do now is for them to get on the field, and we'll see how the tips play out. Earlier I put a poll up about AGS, bringing AGS back. So if you haven't voted, go to the poll and vote. When the last time I looked, they only said 14 votes. I mean, come on, we got 32 guys in the league. It takes literally 5 seconds, maybe even less, to just go to the poll and just cast a vote. And the vote was, the poll is about bring AGS back along with Witt, or just keep Witt. But again, I also said earlier, if we do end up bringing AGS back, it won't be till after the trade deadline in the NFL, which is, I think, in about 2 weeks. The trade deadline, I think, I could be wrong. Don't hold me to that. But I think the trade deadline in the NFL is 2 weeks. So if we do end up going with AGS because it won the poll, then that'll be in about 2 weeks after the trade deadline, because there's a lot of buzz right now about quite a few guys getting traded in the NFL. So it's like, if we do end up bringing AGS back, might as well just wait, because it's going to be familiar faces in different places, in my opinion. So, but again, for all I know, the poll might just be keep Witt. You know what I'm saying? But again, if 25 people vote and bring AGS along only wins by one, that means the rest of the other half voted for just keep Witt. And I'm just going to keep Witt. The only way I'm going to bring AGS back is if it wins by a landslide, So, yeah, I mean, right now it's a possibility for a lot of things to happen. There's a lot of names being thrown around in the league as far as being on the move. So, I think that to start, if we do end up bringing the league back, I think it'd be crazy to bring it back before the deadline, and then you got about 3 or 4 big names that's headed to other teams. You're gonna feel a way about that. So I just think that if we do end up bringing AGS back, it's better to just wait for the trade deadline. No need to rush it. I mean, we got Witt going on. We're about to be in season 2. Super Bowl more than likely will get played tomorrow, and then we'll be putting a poll up for the draft and everything going into the weekend. As far as you guys who coaches got fired, to my knowledge, if you're not allowed to get back in on re-sign, you'll definitely be able to get back in on free agency. I'm hoping it's re-sign, because I'm pretty sure some of you guys wait to the last, wait to the last, minute to re-sign your guys when you have all season to do it. But again, that's not my team, so I can't try to rationalize the knowledge behind it. But I can't say for certain that after the Super Bowl you will be back in during re-sign. But if you're not in during re-sign, I'm more than sure you'll be back in for free agency. You will not have to miss a whole off season just to grab a team back. So I'm hoping you'll be able to get back in during re-sign, and everything else will fall into play from there. But yeah, we're gonna put a poll up, for the draft, um, and then we'll see what happens from there. We'll see what happens from there. As far as next season, I'm gonna bring back the gambling aspect of it that I mentioned before. And what I'm gonna do is with that is, and I'll speak more on it when I do the fifth quarter when the new season start, because everybody don't listen to the fifth quarter. So just because I'm saying this don't mean everybody gonna hear what I'm saying. But the gambling aspect is gonna be, we're gonna do this thing called 6 for 6, right? We're gonna do this thing called 6 for 6. And we also going to do this thing called elimination. Something I did before. 6 for 6 is you got to pick 6 teams that you think is going to win every week. And if the six teams win, you get attribute points. If they don't, you lose attribute points. So if you decide that you want to play it, and it's the same with elimination. Well, elimination is every week you pick one team. Once you pick that team, it's called not elimination, it's called suicide, right? And what it is that every week you pick a team. Well, once you pick a team, you no longer can pick that team for the rest of the season. So if you end up picking Baltimore in week 1, even if they, that's a short shot, or you feel like it's a short shot, your Baltimore pick is done. You can no longer pick Baltimore for the rest of the season, which means you will have to pick one of the other 31 teams that's left, and it keeps going on and on and on. So if you make it to week 10, that means you already took 10 teams. Whichever 10 teams you took, you no longer could take. Now again, whoever wants to participate in that, I will be writing down the teams that you take. So it won't be no you getting slick and thinking that you're gonna pick a team more than once, And the thing about it is that if you decide to play in that, well, that is the winner. If you win that, you get an upgrade for whichever player of your choosing at the end of the season. But you have to pick the player that you're choosing to upgrade, and it could be a player that's normal. You could go from normal to star. You can go from star to superstar, or you could go from superstar to X Factor. Now, of course, the downside is whichever player you choose, he has to go down. He has to get taken down. Now, of course, you probably saying, well, what if he's a normal? You can't go no lower than normal. Correct, you can't. But if you pick a player that's normal and you end up getting eliminated, you will get quite a few attribute points taken off that player. So it's up to you. You don't have to play that. I'm just putting it out there. You could gamble the player that's a superstar and gamble it and try to give him the X factor. But if you lose, he will go down from superstar to star. And as far as the 6 for 6, that's you picking 6 teams every week. You can pick the same 6 teams every week if you want. It's up to you. But you just pick 6 teams, and if you get them, you got to get all 6 right. If you get 5 out of 6, you get nothing. You get nothing, but you lose. And again, you have to pick which player. You have to talk about which player that you're going to use for the attribute points. And again, if you lose, that player loses the attribute points. If you win, he gets the points. So That's the gambling aspect that we bringing back to the league. We're gonna see how many of y'all like to gamble, if any at all. It's definitely a risk. Because if you don't win, you're losing, and it's either or. It's either you're gonna, and it's no different than money, right? If you spend money to gamble, either you lose, you lost out on the money, or you're gonna win money. Obviously, we're not gambling with money on here, so we doing it for the players' attributes or abilities. The choosing is yours. But other than that, I mean not week. Season 2 will be here, kicking off this weekend, and this was a pretty interesting season 1, might I say. I think next season is going to be even more interesting because a lot of guys improved. The Chiefs got better, the Cardinals got better. Who else? Who else am I missing? The Cardinals, the Chiefs, and I feel like I'm missing somebody else, but I can't think of them right now. But those teams got better. The users got better. So, I'm expecting big things next year. E, what up? I mean, I don't need to mention the Bills. I mean, Calm was good last Madden. I'm saying Chiefs because I'm saying Chiefs and Cards because they got off to pretty good starts. They just couldn't finish strong. They if the season was one half of the season, both of them would have been in the playoffs. But we had a whole second half to play, and they couldn't get it done. But I respect their handle. I respect their handle, man. So it's good to see them. It's good to see them competing. I'm hoping that they only continue to compete and not fall off. Don't get discouraged, and just keep playing. There's some of y'all that's just not moving the needle at all. And I think that you gotta listen. I always say, when you play this game, you can't be bad on the field and off the field. If you bad on the field, then you gotta at least be a good GM. You just can't be a bad GM and a bad user. I mean, that's going to equal to nothing but upset fans. You got to do something good. What are you bringing to the table? Like you can't be so stubborn that you don't want to trade with nobody. I mean, again, I'm not telling you to trade. If you don't want to trade, then you don't have to. But, you got to look at your team, man, and try to make some things happen, and just, be a GM. Like, one thing about this is that you everything. You the player, you the coach, you the GM, But, again, some of y'all just, it's just, I don't know. I have really no words, but hey, that's not my problem. Them ain't my teams, And then some of y'all just don't have no idea what y'all doing when it comes to trading. But that's always the case. But in any case, next season will be here before you can blink. The Super Bowl, once the Super Bowl get played, it's a wrap, and we'll be on to the off season, and then we're gonna see how things go. But this has been, and I see they put a patch out too. Before I was able to do this, I had to wait a few minutes for the patch to download. I'm gonna go see what the patch was about. I have no idea what patch they put out, but I'm gonna look into it and see. I'm gonna go and see what the patch is about. But they definitely put a patch out, so we'll see what that patch is about. But it was dope. It was a dope season 1. It was a dope season 1. So, and again, y'all make sure y'all put y'all vote in as far as what y'all want to do with AGS, or if y'all just want to keep with, put your vote in, man. It's 32 of us in the league. I do not want to see 15 votes. I mean, everybody should be voting, and if not everybody, at least more than half the league, put them votes in, vote for what you what you want. You know what I'm saying? Again, y'all already know I do the leagues based on what the temperature of the room is. You know, if the league is saying, yo, just keep wet, I'm gonna keep wet. You know, I'm not gonna force it upon. I mean, I ain't even have to put a poll up. I could have just said, yo, AGS will be here in about 2 weeks. Y'all start sending me names for your teams. You know what I mean? I really don't want to do that because it's like I don't even know. I don't feel like having to wait and see, who all want to participate by taking names for nothing. I was like, let me just put a poll up and the poll will speak for itself. The poll gonna let me know what's what. So I don't never do nothing for the benefit of me. I always put the league before I put myself. Anything I come up with, even when I just brought up the gambling aspect for next season, that's not about me. That's about the league. Anybody could participate in that. Is some of y'all like gambling? All right, we about to find out how much. But only thing is, instead of gambling with money, you gambling on your players' attributes or abilities. So we definitely bringing that back, next season. So again, I always do everything based on, what can I add to the league, and so on and so on. And I had mentioned to y'all, send me a highlight of one of your game, any game. Just pick any game you want, but send me a highlight because I'm trying to do something with this fifth quarter. I'm trying to get some eyes put on this. I'm really trying to make this whole fifth quarter thing a thing. I'm trying to turn it into something. We spending all this time playing these league games and everything. Why not try to turn it into something? So it's like, in order for me to do that, let me dress the fifth quarter up as best as I could and make this look like a real, presentation type thing. So I got something that I'm working on. But instead of me just using random clips, just generic Madden clips, why not use clips from the actual league that's going on? You know what I mean? So, and a clip, everybody got a highlight. Everybody. I don't care if you lost every game. At some point during the game, you had a highlight. Whether it was a dope catch, a dope pick, whether you caused a fumble, something. You got some type of highlight. So just send a highlight over. You know what I mean? And then again, I'm gonna finish putting this together, and then we're gonna see how the finished product come out. But yeah, I'm just trying to turn this into something. Like we spending time on here playing this. Why not? Why not try to get this on the bigger stage? You know what I mean? And see what I could do with this whole fifth quarter, franchise, Madden League thing. So I got some plans. I just gotta do my part and make this look like a real, juggernaut over here, and then, we see what's going on from there. But yeah, the more than likely is knowing y'all, the draft is probably going to be, if the bowl is played tomorrow, the draft will probably be Saturday, knowing y'all, and and the reason why I say knowing y'all, because y'all normally pick the first day you can. Friday is not going to be an option because, you got to give some time for guys to re-sign their players. You can't try to force everything the next day, and then everybody's on different schedules, so the Super Bowl more than likely is going to, the Super Bowl is more than likely going to get played tomorrow evening, tomorrow night, which means it's a Thursday evening, Thursday night. Till then you got the re-sign. And by the time they finish their game, you probably got guys that's already out for work or guys that's just out, period. So you got to give them a chance to be able to get in, re-sign, so you can't cramp everything like that. That's why we normally space it out at least 24 hours, so you won't see a Friday on there. The earliest you'll see for draft will be Saturday. It'll be Saturday and Sunday. But knowing y'all, draft will be Saturday. It's just a matter of what times that we have on there, but we here, we'll get it done. It'll get everything will work itself out. The coach, quite a few coaches got fired, so we got to give them a chance to get back in. So one step at a time. But again, vote. Go cast your vote on the poll. Let me know what's what for the league. Don't be that dude that don't vote, but yet you know that if it wins, you'll play. I need to know. You know what I'm saying? Because if it's 32 guys in the league, I should be seeing just about the whole league voting, so I could really get a full engagement on what's what as far as pursuing this AGS thing. So I need to hear from y'all to let me know how to move. I don't just call no shots. I always kick it with y'all and put a poll up and see what y'all want to do first and foremost. But I need y'all to participate and do your part to help me out to make my job easier. So I know I ain't got to waste my time with anything. But bowl will be played tomorrow. And I seen Bat put out in the chat about if your players got downgraded, let us know. And yeah, he's right. Age requirement is 28 and under. If you're 29, it's a wrap. So keep that in mind. But I gotta check my players to see if anybody got downgraded. Yeah, I ain't even checked my own guys yet. Yeah, you could hit up Josh, you could hit up me, you could hit up Bat. It's quite a few of us that that you can hit up. As far as if you need your players put back, but just don't try to be just don't move funny style, because if you move funny style, listen, we don't have time to waste, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't have us going here because you sitting up here freestyling, talking about your player got turned down. He never was even what you saying he was, because we can check and see. And I'm telling you now, anybody that's caught lying is going to get punished. And the punishment is simply, a player of our choosing going to be turned down. So if you get up here in front and you hit one of us up talking about your player was a superstar, and then we go check and see that he was only a star, then now forget that player. We're going to turn a player of our choosing down just for wasting our time. So, well, yeah, we know that. We know that already. They got to be the progression history shows everything. But everybody knows that. That's my point. That's why I'm saying if you try to get slick and get over and you get caught, the punishment is you're going to get a player of our choosing turned down. So it ain't about that player no more. It's like, no, you got a quarterback that's superstar. He's now going to drop to star or normal, whichever one we feel like doing, just for wasting our time. Because nobody got time to get on here to make changes for something that don't even exist. Like if he never was touched, then don't even waste your time, man. But I pretty much covered everything. I mean, I've even let y'all know about, like I said, we bringing back the gambling aspect for next season. I put the poll up, find out what's what with AGS. And I think that's everything that I need to cover. I made my prediction for the Super Bowl, but that's like a pick 'em. Well, the gambling aspect, what I said was, how it is in football. Like, everybody gambles, and I used to gamble heavy in the NFL. I don't do that no more. I feel like the NFL is so I can't even think of the word that I'm looking for. But I just feel like there's a lot of funny business in the NFL, so I don't even play with that no more. But I used to gamble heavy, and two things I used to gamble heavy with was this thing called the suicide, which was that every week you pick one team that you feel like was going to win, and you got to do that for the whole season. Suicide was you got multiple people when it was money involved. You got however many people you had to put money up, and everybody pick a team. But once you pick that team 1 week, you can't pick that team for the rest of the season. So, in other words, Josh, let's say week 1, you took the Bucks to win. Once if the Bucks win, you can't take the Bucks no more for the rest of the season. You have to keep picking different teams every week. Now, if since we're not playing with no money, you playing to upgrade your guy. So before you even make your first pick, you have to let me know which player you using that you want to turn up. And if you get any wrong throughout the season, the player gets turned down. You can go from normal to star to superstar, superstar to X Factor. And it's the same way if you lose. If you pick a team if you made it all the way to week 8 and you lose, that's it. You're done. Your player gets turned down. So whatever player that you chose to use, if he was superstar, he now goes to star. And the other game that I was going to bring was this game called 6 for 6. Every week you pick 6 teams. And if you get the 6 teams right, your player get attribute points. If you get one wrong, you lose, and that player lose attribute points. But once again, if you say you want to play the 6 for 6, you must let me know which player that you are choosing to gamble with. And if you win, cool, you get the points. 6 for 6, you got to get all 6 right. And yes, those don't have to be different teams. You could pick the same 6 teams every week if you want. But you're not going to want to do that because that means you picking them 6 teams to go undefeated. So, it's going to have to be mixed up week to week, depending on the matchups. So we're going to bring that back, this upcoming season, and we're going to see who like to gamble, and we're going to see who's just going to stay out of it. I think I might play around with it a little bit, see how it work out. But it's hard though, man. Trust me, it's gonna be hard. It's picking. You think you're gonna be able to pick 6 teams every week? I'm telling you, it's gonna be hard. Because you're gonna look around and you're gonna see certain matchups, and you're gonna be like, man, these games could kind of go either way. So we bringing that back. That's gonna be fun. That's gonna be cool. Trust me. And then we're gonna see. We're going to see what's going on from there. So, yeah. But until then, like I said, y'all just vote, cash out vote for what's what with AGS. And, I'm going to see what this patch is about. They put a patch out. I'm going to see what this patch is about. I'm going to go listen to some videos or something or whatever and see what they're talking about with this patch. Because I have no idea what Madden patch this is about. So... hopefully it ain't nothing that messes the game up. Because sometimes they put these patches out and it'll fix one thing and then it'll ruin another part of the game. But that's just something that's always been happening. But hopefully that won't be the case this time around. But yeah, good luck to the Bucks. Good luck to the Ravens. Heck of a season for both teams. And this is the final matchup of season 1. Again, the poll will be out tomorrow because I'm sure they're going to play the bowl tomorrow evening. So the poll will be out. And like I said, I'm pretty sure the draft will be on Saturday. The patch emphasized smarter defensive AI. I mean, that's good. That's a good thing. There you go, Josh. They heard your cries. They heard you. They heard the screams. They heard the controller slamming against the floor in your crib. They heard you. They said, "Yo, let's hurry up and get this patch out for this guy, Josh." You know what I mean? Lose it over there. But I said, though, that it could use a tune-in. I'm not going to act like the defense was perfect. I just felt like, on this. But I still think, you're still going to have to utilize all the different things you got. You said you've been tearing them up on Twitter. And so if you sent that many messages out to them, they had to catch one of them. They had to catch one of your messages. They said, "Yo, this guy Josh is on us. He's sending us messages every day about this Madden game. Let's do some type of tune-up or something. Let's at least try to make him happy." But I'm excited for season 2, man. I ain't gonna lie, I'm excited. Oh, it's not as much as people think. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I haven't read or watched anything about the new patch, so I don't know. I didn't know what to expect, but it was a patch out though, because I had to download. I had to download it before I did this. Or it's more towards the pass rush. Oh, okay. I felt like I didn't really have no issues with the pass rush. I felt like I had the third sack leader in the league this season. I was getting pressure. I don't really feel like it was an issue with the pressure on the quarterback. I was getting sacks, but hey, if they saying emphasize on pressure on the quarterback, hey, who am I to complain about it? I was already getting sacks, so that means that much is going to translate to even more sacks. But we're going to see what this patch about. We definitely going to see what this patch about. I'm here for it. Like I said, I didn't know what the patch was. I just heard about it. But then I seen that I actually had to download, so I'm like, oh, yeah, it's a patch out. But I didn't read up on it yet. But you telling me little stuff about it, so kind of got the gist of sound like they did some tuning with the defense. I'm pretty sure they did something to franchise. Don't know what, but I'm gonna find out. You know, oh, new formations. All right, bet that's dope. That's dope. I mean, I ain't gonna hold you. Me personally, I mean, I might be in a minority. I think this the best Madden in years. That's just my opinion. I may be part of selected few that feel that way, but I think this Madden is pretty dope. You know what I mean? I think it's one of the best that we had in a long time. That's just my personal opinion. From all the little different things that we got to utilize and everything, like I think it's pretty dope. I ain't gonna hold you. Now we got more formations too. Yeah, so I'm gonna take this time. I'm gonna take this time in the off season to see what them new formations is and add those. Add those to my playbook. New formations. Why not? I'm always here for it. But yeah, man, I ain't gonna front. I like this Madden. You know what I'm saying? I like this Madden. I really like it because I don't really feel like it's just no cheese like that. I mean, if you killing, you killing. You know what I'm saying? That's on your opponent to figure out. But I don't just really feel like it's just a cheese on here like that, like it was in previous Maddens. So I ain't really got no issues with it, man. I mean, yeah, it's room for everybody to get better, but again, I don't think none of us be on this game like that. I think majority of us only get on when it's time to play in the league game. So, the reality is if you ain't putting hours in on the game like that, how fast do you really expect to get better? It's like you gotta take it in stride. If you only get on here and you play when you got a league game, then I mean, you gotta take what come with that. You know. But I know for me, I I'm definitely gonna check out these new formations and see what's going down with that. I mean, I definitely like to compete. I'm a competitor, so it's like I ain't gonna just keep getting smoked like a Lucy. You know what I mean? I gotta figure some things out. You know, but season two will be here before you know it. That's for sure. I'm here for it. But I'm gonna do a fifth quarter. I'm going to do a fifth quarter during the off season. I never did that before. I'm going to do a fifth quarter off season. I'm going to talk about which teams do I think is winners and losers in the off season, like after the draft and everything. I'm gonna pick which teams that I think was winners, who did a heck of a job, and I'm going to talk about teams that I felt like dropped the ball. So fifth quarter we'll be back. before week 1 of season 2. But until then, I will see y'all on the next fifth. Ghosts.